Zara's coffee cup shattered against the marble floor the moment she saw the dragon tattoo creeping up his neck. The Korean man across from her wasn't smiling anymore. His eyes had gone dead cold, and 3 more men in black suits were already blocking the exit. She'd sat at the wrong table, interrupted the wrong meeting, and now the entire cafe had gone silent, watching her realize she might not walk out of here alive. 5 minutes earlier, Zara had walked into Pearl Noir, her favorite coffee spot in Itaewon, desperately needing her usual vanilla latte and a quiet corner to finish her translation work. The place was packed, as always on Friday afternoons, but she spotted an empty table near the window, prime real estate. She'd slid into the seat, pulled out her laptop, and ordered without a second thought. The table had been empty. Fair game. That's how coffee shops worked. Except this table wasn't empty by accident. The Korean man had appeared exactly 3 minutes later, and Zara had looked up from her screen to find him standing over her, perfectly still, studying her face with an intensity that made her skin prickle. He was probably in his early 30s, devastating in that sharp-suited, dangerous kind of way, with jet black hair styled back and a face that belonged on a magazine cover. But it was his eyes that caught her, dark, calculating, completely unreadable. "You're in my seat," he'd said in English, his accent barely there. Zara had blinked, looking around. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see a reserve sign or anything. I can move if." "Stay." The word came out like a command, not a suggestion. He'd pulled out the chair across from her and sat down, his movements controlled and deliberate. "Don't move. Don't speak. Just sit there and pretend we're having a conversation." That's when Zara's heart had started hammering. "Excuse me." His jaw had tightened. "My associate is watching from across the street. If you get up now, he'll know something's wrong. My actual date is late, and you're going to sit here and smile until she arrives. Understand?" Zara had opened her mouth to tell this psycho exactly where he could shove his instructions, and that's when she'd seen it. The edge of the tattoo, black scales curling up from beneath his collar, the unmistakable head of a dragon disappearing into his hairline behind his ear. Her best friend Hannah had warned her about these tattoos. Yakuza. Korean Mafia. The kind of men you didn't argue with if you wanted to keep all your fingers. If you're already hooked and you want to see how Zara survives this nightmare, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to get so much worse and you'll want to be here for every twist. Comment below if you think she should run or play along. Let's go. Her coffee cup had slipped from her trembling fingers. Now, standing in the wreckage of shattered porcelain and spilled latte, Zara watched the 3 suited men close in from different angles. The cafe's cheerful chatter had died completely. Even the barista had frozen mid-pour, his eyes wide. "Jay," one of the men said in Korean, approaching their table. "Is there a problem?" So his name was Jay. Fantastic. Zara was about to die, and at least she'd know what to put on her headstone. "Here lies Zara Mitchell, killed for stealing a mafia boss's coffee shop table." Jay raised one hand, a subtle gesture, and the 3 men stopped advancing. His eyes never left Zara's face. "No problem," he said, still in English. "The lady just had a small accident. She's cleaning it up now." Was he serious? Zara stared at him, her pulse racing. This man was giving her an out, a chance to play along with whatever insane theater he was staging. But why? And what would happen if she refused? She dropped to her knees, hands shaking as she started gathering the broken pieces of her cup. A barista rushed over with a towel, shooting her a nervous glance. "I'm so sorry," Zara managed, her voice barely steady. "I'm such a klutz." "It happens," Jay said smoothly, and when Zara looked up, he was smiling, a perfect, charming smile that didn't reach his eyes at all. "Sit down. I'll buy you another coffee. We were just getting to know each other." The barista cleaned up the mess quickly and retreated. Zara forced herself back into her chair, every muscle tense to run. Jay leaned back, utterly relaxed now, and pulled out his phone. "You're doing well," he murmured, his smile still fixed in place. "Keep it up for 10 more minutes. My date will be here soon, and then you can leave. If you run now, my men will assume you're a threat. They'll follow you. You don't want that." "Who are you?" Zara whispered. "Someone you should have avoided." His fingers moved across his phone screen, typing rapidly. This table was reserved. There was a card with my name on it. Where is it? Zara's mind raced back. Had there been a card? She'd been so focused on her deadline, so relieved to find an empty seat. I didn't see anything. Then someone moved it. Jay's expression darkened. Which means someone knew I'd be here. Someone wanted this meeting disrupted. Oh God. Zara felt sick. Look, I'm just a translator. I work from home. I came here for coffee. I saw an empty table. I sat down. That's it. I'm nobody. I don't know anything about. You're African American, Jay interrupted, studying her again with that unsettling intensity. Living in Seoul. You speak Korean? Yes, but... Fluently. Yes. Why does that? Jay's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something shifted in his expression, a flash of anger, quickly controlled. Change of plans. My date isn't coming. Someone warned her off. The three suited men were still positioned around the cafe, watching. Watching her. Zara's throat went dry. So I can go now, right? No, Jay leaned forward, and his voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Because now I have a different problem. Someone set this up. They wanted me here alone at this specific time. You sitting at this table might have actually saved my life, or you're part of whatever trap is being set. I need to figure out which. I'm not part of anything. Zara hissed. I'm a freelance translator who lives in a studio apartment in Hongdae and spends her Friday nights watching Netflix. I don't even know your last name. Kong, he said flatly. Kong Jae-won. And if you're telling the truth, you're in danger just from sitting here. If you're lying, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Zara's laptop was still open on the table, her translation project half finished on the screen. Her messenger bag hung on the back of her chair, her phone tucked inside. Everything about her screamed normal, boring, not a threat. But Jae-won was looking at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve, and that terrified her more than the men with their hidden weapons and dead eyes. Tell me exactly what you saw when you sat down, Jae-won said. Everything. Every detail. The table was empty, Zara said, fighting to keep her voice steady. I walked in, I looked around. I saw this spot by the window. I put my bag down, ordered my drink, opened my laptop. That's it. There was nothing on the table. No card, no reservation sign, nothing. Jae-won's jaw clenched. He glanced at one of his men, gave a subtle nod. The man immediately moved toward the barista, who visibly paled. Wait, Zara said quickly. Don't hurt him. He didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm going to ask him who cleared this table before you arrived. Jae-won's eyes locked on hers. You don't give orders here. You sit quietly, you answer my questions, and maybe you walk out of here in one piece. The casual cruelty in his voice made Zara's stomach turn. This was real. This wasn't some misunderstanding she could laugh about later. This man, this beautiful, terrifying man, was genuinely deciding whether she lived or died. Still with me? Good. Because here's where it gets crazy. Drop a like right now if you think Zara should trust him, or if you think she's sitting across from the most dangerous man in Seoul. Either way, you're not ready for what happens next. The suited man returned, spoke rapidly in Korean to Jae-won. Zara caught enough to understand. The barista had seen a young woman clear the table about 20 minutes before Zara arrived, but he'd assumed she worked for the café. She'd been wearing all black, looked Korean, had been very quick and efficient. Jae-won cursed under his breath. Professional, he muttered. They sent someone to clear the table, remove the reservation, make it look available. His eyes snapped back to Zara. Show me your phone. What? No. Show. Me. Your. Phone. Each word came out like a bullet. Zara's hands shook as she pulled her phone from her bag and unlocked it. Jae-won took it, his fingers moving with quick efficiency through her messages, her call history, her apps. His expression remained neutral, giving nothing away. You really are just a translator, he finally said, almost surprised. He handed the phone back. You have terrible taste in Korean dramas, by the way. The absurdity of the comment almost made Zara laugh, a hysterical, terrified laugh she had to swallow down. Can I go now? Not yet. Jae-won pulled out his own phone, made a call, spoke in rapid Korean too quick for Zara to follow completely. When he hung up, his expression was grim. My driver will take you home. You'll stay there for the next 48 hours. Don't go out. Don't answer your door for anyone except food delivery. Don't contact anyone about what happened here today. You can't just imprison me in my own apartment. I'm not imprisoning you. I'm protecting you. Jae-won stood, buttoning his jacket. Whoever set this trap saw you sit at this table. They might think you're connected to me. They might come looking for you. My men will watch your building, keep you safe. Zara shot to her feet. I don't want your men watching my building. I want to forget this ever happened and go back to my normal, boring life. Too late for that. Jae-won gestured, and one of his men appeared at Zara's elbow, taking her bag before she could protest. The car is outside. Go with Min-sik. He'll see you home safely. Zara wanted to scream, to fight, to run, but she was surrounded by men who moved like predators, and Jae-won was looking at her with an expression that was almost apologetic. I'm sorry you got caught up in this, he said quietly. But you'll be safer if you cooperate. Trust me. Trust him? Trust the Mafia boss who'd essentially taken her hostage over a coffee shop table? Zara opened her mouth to tell him exactly what he could do with his trust, and that's when the window exploded. Glass erupted inward in a shower of deadly shards. Someone screamed. Jae-won moved faster than Zara thought possible, grabbing her and slamming her to the ground beneath him, his body covering hers as the sound of gunfire ripped through the café. People were screaming now, running, diving for cover. The barista had disappeared behind the counter. The suited men had drawn weapons, actual guns, and were returning fire toward the shattered window. Zara couldn't breathe. Jae-won's weight pressed her into the floor, his hand cradling the back of her head, holding her down. She could feel his heartbeat against her shoulder blade, steady and strong, completely at odds with the chaos erupting around them. Stay down, he growled in her ear. Don't move. More gunfire. The smell of gunpowder and blood. Someone was shouting in Korean, coordinating. Jae-won's men were professionals, moving in synchronized patterns, creating a barrier between them and whoever was shooting from outside. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence fell, broken only by the sound of car alarms and distant sirens. Jae-won waited 3 more seconds before slowly lifting himself off Zara. He grabbed her arm, hauled her to her feet. There was blood on his jacket, not his, she realized, from one of the cafe patrons who'd been hit by flying glass. Move, Jae-won commanded, and suddenly they were running, Min-sik on one side, another guard on the other, creating a protective formation around them as they rushed through the cafe's back exit into a narrow alley. A black Mercedes sat waiting, engine running. Jae-won shoved Zara into the back seat and dove in after her as the car peeled out before the door was even fully closed. Zara's ears were ringing. Her whole body was shaking. She looked down and saw blood on her hands, small cuts from the glass, nothing serious, but the sight of it made her head spin. Breathe, Jae-won said, and she realized he had his hand on the back of her neck, firm and grounding. Just breathe. You're okay. You're not hurt. People were shooting, Zara heard herself say, her voice distant and strange. There were guns. At a coffee shop. In broad daylight. Welcome to my world. Jae-won's voice was grim. He released her neck, pulled out his phone, started making calls. The driver took corners at speeds that should have been impossible, weaving through Seoul traffic like they were in an action movie. Zara's mind couldn't process it. 2 hours ago, she'd been worried about her translation deadline. Now she was in the back of a speeding car with a Korean mafia boss who'd just used his body to shield her from gunfire, and someone had just tried to kill them both. Why did you protect me? The question came out before she could stop it. Jae-won looked at her, his expression unreadable. You were in my seat, he said simply. That made you my responsibility. Okay, if you're not subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that button because Zara's night is about to go from bad to absolutely insane, and you need to see this through. Comment, protect her, if you think Jae-won is actually one of the good guys, or run girl, if you think Zara needs to get as far away from this man as possible. The car pulled into an underground parking garage, descending several levels into what looked like a private structure beneath a high-rise building. When they finally stopped, Jaewon got out and extended his hand to Zara. She ignored it, climbing out on her own on shaky legs. "Where are we?" she demanded. "Somewhere safe. Come. I'm not going anywhere with you. You promised to take me home." That was before someone tried to kill us both. Jaewon's patience was clearly wearing thin. "Your apartment isn't safe. They'll go there looking for you. Here, I can protect you." "I don't need your protection. I need to call the police." Jaewon actually laughed at that, a harsh, humorless sound. "And tell them what? That you accidentally sat at the wrong table and got caught in a gang war? The police can't help you, Zara. I'm all you've got right now." The casual use of her name sent a chill down her spine. She hadn't told him her name. He'd looked at her phone, must have seen it there. The reminder that he'd had access to all her information made her feel even more vulnerable. "I want to leave," she said, hating how her voice shook. "Please. Just let me go." Something shifted in Jaewon's expression, a flicker of what might have been guilt. "I can't," he said quietly. "Not until I know who targeted that café and why. If you leave now and they find you, I can't protect you. Is that what you want?" Zara wanted to scream. She wanted to wake up and discover this was all a nightmare. She wanted her normal, boring life back. But Jaewon was right about one thing. Someone had seen her at that table. Someone might think she was connected to him. And if they'd been willing to shoot up a crowded cafe in the middle of the day, they wouldn't hesitate to come after one random translator. "Fine," she bit out. "But I want answers. Real answers. No more cryptic mafia boss nonsense. You tell me what's going on, or I start screaming for help." A slight smile tugged at Jaewon's mouth. "Deal. Come on." He led her to a private elevator, used a key card to access it. They rode up in silence, Zara very aware of how close they were standing in the small space, how she could still smell his cologne mixed with gunpowder and adrenaline. When the doors opened, she found herself in a penthouse apartment that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. All clean lines, floor-to-ceiling windows, expensive minimalist furniture. "Sit," Jaewon said, gesturing to a leather couch. "I'll get the first aid kit." "I'm fine. Your hands are bleeding." "Sit." Too exhausted to argue, Zara sank onto the couch. Jaewon disappeared down a hallway and returned with a white medical kit. He sat beside her, took her hands in his, and began carefully cleaning the small cuts with antiseptic. His touch was surprisingly gentle. "Talk," Zara said. Jaewon didn't look up from his work. "My family runs certain businesses in Seoul. Legitimate ones, mostly, but we have connections to less legitimate operations. It's complicated. You're Yakuza. Korean. Not Japanese. Different structure, different rules. But yes, organized crime would be the simple answer." He applied small bandages to the deeper cuts. "I've been trying to move our operations into more legal territory. Not everyone in my organization approves. Some of our rivals like the idea even less. So that cafe attack was meant for me. Probably retaliation for a business deal I made last week. Or a power play from someone inside my own organization who wants me gone." He finished bandaging her hands and finally looked at her. "The woman I was supposed to meet, Minji, was a setup. She doesn't exist. Someone created a fake dating profile, lured me to that cafe at that exact time, cleared my reservation to make it look like the table was free. So I accidentally saved your life by taking your seat," Zara said slowly. "Possibly. Or you accidentally made yourself a target by being in the wrong place at the wrong time." Jaewon stood, walked to the window, looked out at the Seoul skyline. "Either way, you're involved now." "I'm sorry for that." Zara's head was spinning. "This is insane. This is absolutely insane. I translate Korean beauty product descriptions for American websites. I adopted a cat last month. I have student loans and a gym membership I never use. I don't belong in this world." "No," Jaewon agreed, turning to face her. "You don't. Which is why I'm going to do everything I can to get you out of it safely." "How long?" "What?" "How long until I can go home? Until I can go back to my normal life." Zara heard the desperation in her own voice and hated it. Jaewon's expression was grim. 48 hours, maybe 72. I have people investigating who's behind the attack. Once I deal with them, once the threat is eliminated, you'll be free to go. I'll make sure no one ever bothers you again. Deal with them, Zara repeated. You mean kill them? He didn't deny it. This is the world I live in, Zara. Actions have consequences. Someone tried to kill me today. They put innocent people in danger. They'll try again if I don't stop them first. The cold logic of it made Zara's skin crawl. But she couldn't deny the truth in his words. She'd seen the gunfire, seen how close death had come. In Jaewon's world, mercy was probably just another word for weakness. I need to call my best friend, she said. Hannah. She'll be worried if I don't check in. Use my phone. I had to disable yours. The GPS could be tracked. Jaewon handed her a sleek smartphone. Keep it brief. Don't tell her where you are. Zara took the phone with trembling fingers and dialed Hannah's number from memory. Her friend answered on the second ring. Hello. Hannah, it's me. Zara? Whose number is this? Are you okay? I saw the news about a shooting at Pearl Noir. Weren't you working there today? Of course it was already on the news. Zara's mind raced. I'm fine. I left before it happened. My phone died and I'm at a friend's place. I'll call you tomorrow, okay? Are you sure you're okay? You sound weird. I'm fine. Just tired. Love you. Zara hung up before Hannah could ask more questions. She handed the phone back to Jaewon. She's going to know something's wrong. She'll worry for a day or two, then you'll go home, and everything will be fine. Jaewon pocketed the phone. You should rest. The guest room is down the hall, second door on the left. There are clothes in the closet, toiletries in the bathroom. Help yourself to anything you need. Zara stood on shaky legs. What are you going to do? Find out who tried to kill us. And make sure they regret it. The casual menace in his voice sent shivers down her spine. She should have been terrified of him. She was terrified of him. But he'd also thrown himself over her when the bullets started flying, had bandaged her hands with surprising care, had promised to keep her safe. Zara didn't know what to do with the contradiction, the dangerous criminal who was also, inexplicably, her protector. Thank you, she found herself saying. For, earlier. At the café. Jaewon's expression softened slightly. Get some rest, Zara. Tomorrow we'll figure out how to keep you alive. Hit subscribe if you want to see how this impossible situation plays out, because Zara is about to discover that living with a mafia boss is way more complicated than any Korean drama she's ever watched. And things are about to get personal. Zara found the guest room exactly where Jaewon had said. It was beautiful and impersonal, like a luxury hotel suite. She locked the door behind her, then immediately felt stupid. If Jaewon wanted to get in, a lock wouldn't stop him. She sank onto the bed, her whole body shaking with delayed shock. She'd almost died today. Someone had shot at her. She was trapped in a penthouse with a gorgeous, terrifying criminal who might be protecting her or might be using her for reasons she didn't understand yet. This wasn't her life. This couldn't be her life. But it was. Zara forced herself to breathe, to think rationally. Jaewon had said 48 hours. She could survive 48 hours. She just had to stay calm, stay smart, and not do anything stupid. She took a long shower, washing away the smell of gunpowder and fear. The closet did indeed have clothes, women's clothes, in various sizes, all expensive brands with the tags still on. Zara tried not to think about why Jaewon had a guest room stocked with women's clothing. She found pajamas that fit, soft cotton that smelled like lavender, and climbed into bed. Sleep should have been impossible. Instead, exhaustion hit her like a train, and she was unconscious within minutes. She woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee. For one blissful moment, she thought she was home. Then memory crashed back and she sat up, heart pounding. Someone knocked on the door. Zara? Are you awake? Jaewon's voice. Zara grabbed a robe from the bathroom, wrapped it around herself. Come in. He entered carrying a tray with coffee, toast, fruit. He changed into casual clothes, jeans and a black t-shirt that showed off his build. His hair was slightly damp, like he'd showered recently. He looked almost normal. Almost. Breakfast, he said, setting the tray on the bedside table. We need to talk. Zara's stomach clenched. You found something. Yes. Jaewon sat in the chair by the window, his expression serious. The attack was organized by a rival family, the Mints. They've been trying to expand into territory my family controls. Taking me out would create a power vacuum. So what happens now? Now I handle it. But there's a complication. Jaewon's eyes met hers. They have photos of you. From the café. They know you were at my table. They know I protected you. They're going to assume you're important to me. Zara's blood ran cold. But I'm not. I'm nobody. They don't know that. Which means you're leveraged now. If they can't get to me directly, they'll try to use you. Jaewon leaned forward, his expression intense. I need to make a public appearance with you. Let them see you. Let them think you're under my protection. It's the only way to keep you safe. Absolutely not. Zara stood, backing away. I'm not going to be paraded around like some kind of mafia girlfriend. It's not a request, Zara. It's survival. Jaewon's voice was firm. There's a charity gala tonight. Half of Seoul's elite will be there, including members of the Min family. If I show up with you on my arm, if I make it clear you're under my protection, they won't touch you. Not without starting an all-out war they can't win. And if I refuse? Then they'll come for you the second you step out of this building, and I won't be able to stop them. Jaewon stood, moved closer. I know this isn't fair. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But right now, your best chance of survival is to play along. One night. That's all I'm asking. Zara wanted to argue, to fight, but the cold logic was undeniable. She was trapped not by Jaewon, but by circumstances beyond her control. The Min family thought she mattered to him. The only way to survive was to make that illusion convincing enough to be real. One night, she said finally. And then this ends. You make it clear to everyone that I'm not your girlfriend, not your associate, not anything. I'm just someone who got caught in the crossfire. Deal. Jaewon extended his hand. Zara shook it, feeling the warmth of his palm against hers, and wondered if she'd just made a deal with the devil himself. The rest of the day passed in a surreal blur. Jaewon's people brought a stylist who transformed Zara into someone she barely recognized, a hair professionally styled, makeup flawless, nails manicured. The dress they brought was stunning, a deep emerald silk that hugged her curves and made her dark skin glow. Heels that added 3 inches to her height. Jewelry that was probably worth more than her annual salary. When she looked in the mirror, she didn't see herself. She saw a woman who belonged in Jaewon's world, someone sophisticated and dangerous and completely untouchable. Perfect, Jaewon said when she emerged. He was in a tuxedo, looking like he'd stepped off a runway, and the way his eyes traveled over her made heat rise in Zara's cheeks. You look incredible. I look like someone else, Zara muttered. Good. Tonight, you're someone else. Tonight, you're mine. The possessiveness in his voice should have scared her. Instead, it sent an electric thrill down her spine that she absolutely did not want to examine. The gala was held at one of Seoul's most exclusive hotels, a glittering affair with champagne, string quartets, and enough wealth on display to fund a small country. Zara held onto Jaewon's arm as they entered, very aware of every eye that turned their way. She'd never been the center of attention like this before. It was terrifying and thrilling in equal measure. Smile, Jaewon murmured. Remember, you're supposed to be enjoying yourself. Zara forced a smile, let him guide her through the crowd. People approached, business associates, rivals, curious onlookers, and Jaewon introduced her simply as Zara, never elaborating on their relationship. But the way he touched her hand at the small of her back, fingers brushing her arm, made the connection clear. She was his. At least for tonight. Jaewon. A man approached, older, distinguished, with cold eyes that made Zara's skin crawl. I didn't expect to see you here. Especially after yesterday's unfortunate incident. Mr. Min. Jaewon's voice was perfectly pleasant, but Zara felt him tense beside her. Yes, unfortunate. But as you can see, I'm perfectly fine. Mr. Min's eyes slid to Zara, assessing. And who is this lovely creature? Someone under my protection, Jaewon said smoothly. I trust that's clear enough. The threat hung in the air, unspoken but unmistakable. Mr. Min's smile never wavered. Of course. I would never dream of interfering with your interests. He walked away, and Zara released a breath she hadn't known she was holding. That was him? The one who tried to kill us. His family, yes. And now he knows touching you means war. Jaewon guided her toward the bar. You did well. Keep it up. The night continued in the same vein, dangerous men making polite conversation while sharks circled beneath the surface. Zara played her role, smiled and nodded, and let Jaewon maintain the illusion of ownership. And somewhere in the middle of it all, something shifted. She stopped feeling like a hostage and started feeling like a partner. Someone standing beside Jaewon, facing down his enemies together. It was a dangerous feeling. Dangerously intoxicating. Still here? Then you're in this deep. Subscribe now because Zara's about to make a choice that changes everything, and you need to see where this goes. Comment whether you think she's falling for him or just playing the part. I need to know what you're thinking. Near midnight, Jaewon led her onto the terrace for air. The Seoul skyline glittered around them, beautiful and vast. Zara leaned against the railing, suddenly exhausted from maintaining her facade. You're good at this, Jaewon said quietly. Playing the part. I'm a good liar when I have to be, Zara replied. Survival skill. What are you surviving from? The question caught her off guard. Zara looked at him, found him watching her with genuine curiosity. My parents died when I was 12, she heard herself say. Car accident. I grew up in foster care. Learned early that sometimes you have to be someone you're not to stay safe. Something flickered in Jaewon's expression. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. I'm sorry. Don't be. It made me strong. Made me independent. Zara turned back to the view. I came to Korea to start over, build a life that was mine. And then I sat at the wrong coffee shop table and everything went insane. For what it's worth, Jaewon said, I'm glad you sat at that table. If you hadn't, he stopped, shook his head. You'd be dead. Probably. He moved closer, close enough that she could feel his warmth. But that's not what I meant. I meant, I'm glad I met you. Even under these circumstances. Zara's heart was pounding. This was dangerous territory, more dangerous than the gunfight, more dangerous than the Mafia politics. Because Jaewon was looking at her like she was something precious, something worth protecting, and God help her, she was starting to look at him the same way. This isn't real, she whispered. This is just pretend. Just survival. Is it? Jaewon reached up, cupped her face with one hand. His thumb brushed her cheek, and Zara's breath caught. Because it doesn't feel pretend to me. He was going to kiss her. Zara knew it with absolute certainty. And God, she wanted him to. Wanted to close the distance between them, wanted to taste him, wanted to give in to this insane attraction that had been building since the moment their eyes met across that coffee shop table. But before either of them could move, Jaewon's phone buzzed. He pulled back, checked it, and his expression went deadly cold. What? Zara asked. They found something. Come on. He grabbed her hand, led her back inside, toward a private room off the main ballroom. His men were already there, along with a laptop showing security footage. Show her, Jaewon commanded. One of the men turned the screen. Zara watched grainy footage of a woman in black clearing the table at Pearl Noir, the same woman the barista had mentioned. But as the angle changed, as the woman looked up briefly, Zara's world tilted. She knew that face. She'd seen it before. That's Minji, Jaewon said. Except that's not her real name. Her real name is Min Sujin. She's Min's daughter. And Zara finally understood. This wasn't just about territory or power. This was personal. The Min family had sent their own daughter to lure Jaewon into a trap, and Zara had accidentally disrupted everything. She'll come for you now, Jaewon said quietly. She failed to kill me. Her father will demand she finish the job. And the easiest way to hurt me is through me, Zara finished. The fairy tale was over. The danger was back, sharper than ever. Jaewon pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her in a gesture that was both protective and possessive. I won't let that happen. I swear to you, Zara, I will keep you safe. And as Zara stood there in his embrace, wearing a dress worth thousands of dollars, in the middle of a war she never asked to join, she realized something terrifying. She believed him. More than that, she was starting to trust him. starting to care about him, starting to fall for the most dangerous man she'd ever met. This is it, the moment where everything changes. If you've made it this far, you're invested, you're hooked, and you need to know what happens next. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and drop a comment telling me if you think Zara should run or if you think she's exactly where she's supposed to be. Because part 2 is coming and you're not going to believe where this story goes. See you in the comments.